first line of code during the hackathon. But today is not just about looking back. It's about asking a very important question. What happens next? How can we ensure that what you started at TinkerHack doesn't stop here? How do we help you keep building, keep experimenting, and keep discovering what you're capable of? That is exactly what Women Maker Celebration is all about. Today, we are joined by over 500 members of the ecosystem, including top makers from TinkerHack, mentors, venue representatives from institutions across Kerala, and community leaders, speakers, and volunteers who help make this journey possible. So to everyone in this room, thank you for being a part of this moment. Because today is a reminder that the future of technology is not something we wait for, but something for build for. A few things to keep in mind is iftar kits 5 മണി തൊട്ട് available ആയിരിക്കും dining area ൽ. Juice and snacks will be provided throughout the event on the first floor. ഫുഡ് കൂപ്പൺ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് കിട്ടിയിട്ടുണ്ടാവും, അത് നിങ്ങൾ കയ്യിൽ വയ്ക്കുക. നിങ്ങളത് നോട്ടീസ് ചെയ്യുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അതിൽ ടൈമിങ്സ് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ആ ടൈമിങ്സിൽ നിങ്ങൾ പോയി ലഞ്ച് കഴിക്കാമെന്ന് എൻഷുർ ചെയ്യുക. ഓട്ടംതുള്ളൽ കൾച്ചറൽസ് ഉണ്ട് നമുക്ക്. ഇറ്റ് വിൽ സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ഷാർപ്ലി അറ്റ് 2 PM. We also have spotlight sessions taking place at the premium place. So please do attend those sessions that we've curated for you. And goodies will be provided after the closing ceremony. So to begin the day, we have a panel discussion on women makers in tech. Technology is about who gets to participate, who gets to build, and whose ideas shape the future. Our conversation today explores why it matters that more women makers like you step into the ecosystem. We will be joined by Nidhya Viraj. Nidhya works with NVIDIA Launchpad in global GTM strategy and is also the creative director of Pink and Kink, a fashion brand that celebrates bold self-expression, identity, and the balance between refinement and rebellion. Her work brings together technology, creativity, and thoughtful conversations around identity and expression. In conversation with Arundhati Krishna, Head of Community and Partnerships at TinkerHub, who has been leading community initiatives that enable thousands of young makers through TinkerHub. Please join me in welcoming Arundhati and Nidhya.
ഹലോ എല്ലാവർക്കും കേൾക്കാമോ? യെസ്. ഹായ്. എനർജി പോരാ. സി you people are the top 300 among the TinkHerHack participants and we expect a whole lot of energy from you. So hi. Everybody had breakfast? She's saying it doesn't seem like so. So something remarkable truly happened in Kerala over the past 2 months. We had TinkHerHack, which all of you experienced. And it happened across 67 venues in Kerala, across almost all districts. And you all have been part of it. And as much as the experience that you gained from it, we were equally mesmerized to see Ningal chain the projects and the enthusiasm and the kind of questions you came up with, the mentors and the numbers that comes out of it. Everything was so good. So we really wondered, what can we give apart from TinkHerHack? What can we give beyond the experience you can get out of TinkHerHack? Ninka, by means of Women Maker Celebration, what can we gift each of you? And hence, we came up with a whole lot of people whom we really, really want you to connect with and know from. And first of them all is Nidhya Viraj. And she's the co-founder of TinkerHub, along with which she works with NVIDIA Launchpad as a GTM. But of all the titles she owns, I absolutely love the third one. She's the creative director of Pink and Kink. And I checked the website and you have no idea how many times I was like, wow. If you get a chance, please check out Pink and Kink in Google and have a look at her website. But yeah, welcome Nidya. Hi.
Thank you so much, Arundhati. I think you've been very graciously giving me intro. So, and she's also doing a phenomenal job at TinkerHub, and everybody loves her for leading the community as it is. And I'm really incredibly happy to be here because, to be honest, my beginning was also at a hackathon. So it's a full circle moment for me. And TinkerHub also like started with the intent that we wanted to support as many students as possible. Like we wanted to bring together the community together to make sure that we can create something really incredible to the community, right? So that's the whole idea of TinkerHub. So this is more like after all these years, it's still working with full speed is really, really incredible to see. And many more communities, not just student communities, like people outside of colleges and universities are also incredibly part of this huge impact system which has been created. And we look forward to having those around. That's something like we are really incredible to see that, yeah.
So before we get started with the conversation, for all of you, I want you to note something very important. We had an entire session on how to attend a conference before you all went for, some of you at least might have gone for Grace Hopper celebration that happened in Bangalore. So we were teaching how to attend a session per se. Once we have the conversation, I want a couple of you to come up with questions for which you need to be very attentive of what we are having a conversation around. So will you be able to come up with questions? Energy Bora. Okay? Cool. So yesterday, something happened. We have been doing TinkHerHack for a really long time. So this year was the 4th edition of TinkHerHack. And we have been able to scale it over time. So yesterday I was having this conversation with Fahma, who happens to be the Women in Entrepreneurship head at Kerala Startup Mission. And she was saying we should definitely go ahead with a 5th edition of TinkHerHack. And I was like, that's something in question for me. Because if at all we are doing a 5th edition of TinkHerHack, it should not be in the same form and format. Because a lot of things are changing in the world. And the kind of projects they should come up with or the way in which they think of a project should ideally change, for which we might have to introduce a lot more strategies. So these all are into consideration when we design any program around TinkerHub or anywhere else. So the first question I really wanted to ask you is, from a global point of view, what all is changing that these beginners who are getting started with building a project should be considering going forward? What are the changes that are happening?
I think the most incredible as well as unpredictable change which has happened is ever since the beginning of ChatGPT, which is going viral, right? So we had an iPhone moment for AI. So till then, AI was very niche and very few people used to do, even at the enterprise level, not many people used to do that. And ever since ChatGPT, we had the iPhone moment of AI, and everyone started doing it, which means from enterprises to students to like teachers to you name anything, AI has been very omnipresent in any industries that you look at, which has really trickled down into our day-to-day operations, right? So one of the significant thing that it has resulted in is it's gonna literally add like more than 1.3 to 1.8 trillion, $2 to the economy, which is going to be a massive shift in the overall ecosystem in general. So this is, I want to just zoom out of that number and then talk a little bit about what does it really mean for us, right? So if you look at from an ecosystem of education itself, like the way we used to learn totally changed. Like 10 years ago, how we used to learn was completely different from how we learn at this day and age, right? So from the time of education to the time that you get out of the college, everything meant something else like 5 years ago, even 2 years ago, right? So I'm sure many of you are already equipped to kind of deal with the world along with AI. So I'm not trying to say that AI is going to go do a takeover of the world. It's more about collaborative approach, right? So how do you coexist with AI taking over a lot of part of the work which used to be dealt with humans, which is always going to be the case. So I think it's more about coexistence, which is more important right now. And secondary part is India right now, I think 87% of the enterprises have been using AI to either enhance their workload or to make sure that they have better performances and efficiencies which are coming into their ecosystem, right? So because of this reason, there are more and more jobs which are going to create in and around AI. and which means that there is associated industries which is going to get more prominence. Like, it can be healthcare to finance to you name anything, it has its own importance. And I think the biggest change I've noticed was when it comes to basic like calling mechanism, right? Initially, India used to be the hub of all the, like we had telecallers sitting here and taking calls from different parts of the world. Now, entire pipeline has been reduced into an AI bot, which has been a significant difference. And in India, a lot of students who used to train for that, they all don't have like, a capacity to learn and whatnot, right? So now I think a lot of students are trying to make sure that, hey, in an AI-ready world, how do I add my skill, right? So you guys are incredibly talented. So it's more about, hey, how do I play my role along with AI so that I can enhance this world together with this, situation which has come around. Secondary part I also want to touch upon is how much do we need, it's not just about engineering, right? So initially there was higher focus on you have to be technically more advantageous and then you will be like, in a higher paying job. Now it's not the case anymore because of AI. You also have to be good at managing who you are as a human, right? Which is why social studies, arts, humanities and all are gaining more importance these days because initially, like it's about coding a rule about like, saying that AI is supposed to perform a task based on X logic, but can this decision be pertaining to any kind of human right violation, for instance? Or is this harmful to humans at some point, right? So all these decision has to be made, and it might not be always engineers who's making this decision. And we have time and again seen more creative sector providing creative solutions. So I have seen a lot of cases in which startups, which has incredible combination of both engineering and arts, doing much better job as opposed to pure engineers. So that shift is already happening. You can look at Anthropic as a good example. Like the co-founders are like very incredibly balanced duo. Like, that's one company to quote. Or even a lot of startups where there is both creative side and engineering side is balanced. We are seeing a lot of influence which is coming in. So personally, my suggestion would be is to not just focus on one side of your brain, because both of your parts of your brain has to be equally engaged for you to create more logically viable as well as socially relevant solution for AI. So that's more important because human, we have intelligence to decide what's right or wrong, but an AI doesn't have that. So you need to literally extend your brain to the AI so that they can take a decision on your behalf, which means make them more human. So which is why like, it's important to balance these. And that's, in a way, great change, I would say. Like, I've been very looking forward to seeing that we need to balance it out at some point. So, yeah, it's a tricking point to that, I would say.
I think we were having this conversation down as well about how arts and science students have a benefit over engineering students. So whenever I go and talk to students who are learning engineering right now, they have to think beyond their curriculum. Or one observation that I've made is in the duration of any hackathon, be it TinkHerHack or any other, when we run it in an arts and science college, the kind of outputs that they give is a lot more creative in terms of the fact that even if they are creating a static website, which is for a beginner something huge, the content that they put in that website is core, what they are learning or what they have experimented with. So what would be your advice to engineering students to keep that balance, as you mentioned in the case of the founders of Anthropic? How can they, beyond their curriculum, think of a way in which they could, learn beyond just their curriculum, but at the same time use technology as a tool, which they already have in hand, but what beyond their curriculum or how they should go ahead with it?
I think it's more about holistic development of a human, right? So this is fundamentally goes back to our education system, because initially we used to have a lot more focus on how to create this human into a fully rounded, like well-groomed person. And I think later on there was a lot of emphasis which was done on, hey, how can I make this person extremely good at point X? Like that was the situation. Later on, when we like decided to like, come forward with AI and whatnot, we started realizing, hey, our old method was actually right. Like, because if you are, and I think you have seen this with a lot of situation. Like if you look at, I don't want to name the colleges, but like, there are some top engineering institutions in India, for instance, they are creating a lot of students who are really great at IQ, but their social intelligence and emotional intelligence is like really, really pathetic. I'm sorry to say that, but it's not okay, right? So the bigger question that we need to ask the education system is like, am I creating a new generation which is socially equipped to kind of deal with the problems which is going to come forward, right? That's more important, because if you're not being a good human and you're going to create more solution in the world, I don't know how far it's going to be useful to the larger world in play. And second of all, how socially right that would be, right? So these are the bigger questions that we need to answer. And I think it's important to go back to the basics of like, even from a angle of responsible AI, right? Because creating AI is easy, but managing that is even more difficult. Like if the AI is not like explainable, then, and I'm not able to put it relevant socially, I would say, there are a lot of elements that I wanted to put in forward, that it should be making a decision which is useful for the humans as well as responsible for the humans. The entire solutions can crack down in a second, right? So which is why more accidents which have been created by AI and other technologies are becoming more spotlighted, because like, this is gonna crack down at any given point in time. How do I equip myself with this particular solution on technology better way, right? So the only reason is to like, make sure that the AI is getting trained by humans, which are also responsible. And that's not easy. And gender plays a major role there, because a lot of times, like, most of the technological systems are created by men, and then they might not even consider women as a user. Like, that's always going to be an issue, right? So it's more about creating that diverse solution. So the more diverse your team is going to be, more diverse your solution is going to be, more perfect your solution is going to be. So it's all trickles down to all these solution metrics at the end of the day. So if you are an engineer, great, but then engineer your solution in a socially responsible way would be the better way to look at it, I would say.
Because you were mentioning about women in technology, and that's what we are here for. There are a couple of examples which are quite common or which have been talked about a lot, like women's anatomy was not taken into consideration while the design of a car or so, and there's so many other examples of that sort. But given the same, women constitute maybe equal number of women actually use technology for that matter. But even in the learning programs that we do across, not just in TinkerHub, across any organization or community for that matter, the number of women who come and attend a competitive learning program or a learning program for that matter, it's significantly low. And I genuinely believe you'll be the right person to answer this question, because you have been in the field of technology for a really, really long time. At least when you were at QSAT, when the TinkerHub was founded, you have been equally participating in all the hackathons and winning them all. So why do you think women have that hindrance to make it relatable for the audience, and why women should equally contribute to the building part of it?
It's funny story. The first hackathon I attended, I was the only girl which was present. So now I'm looking at this. This is like serious improvement because of TinkerHub. So thanks to you guys, and congrats to you guys. Like, because this is like incredible, to be honest. And I still remember there was one time, I forgot which company I was doing it for. There was one community which approached me to put together a women's hackathon, and I had to like literally beg people to come to this event, because saying that, hey guys, let's do this and everything. And people will be like, I don't want to do that. Like, because for them it was getting placed via campus placement was more important. They did not want to think outside of that box, because their path to success was like, hey, I'm going to do my engineering, I'm going to sit in campus placement, get placed, and whatever happens. Like that's how the predictable path was. And I think TinkerHub that time was like far ahead, like, how we used to think about it, because I think the power of open source community and like how maker communities come together, I think you guys are literally at a gold mine of opportunities. Like the people that you interact with today is literally going to shape your future for the next 5 years, for instance, right? So depending on the conversation that you guys are having with them. So I always believe that you are the average of 5 people that you spend most time with, like, so I think having a community like this is obviously going to launchpad your success at any given point in time. And with the advent of technology, you're not locally present in Kerala anymore. Like technically you're competing with global talent. Like nobody cares about where you are from. Nobody do. Like, they're not going to ask, oh, okay, are you from X or Y region? Nobody cares that anymore. Like, so in that sense, there is more level playing field. So with a lot of the women who are hesitant to come towards technology, and I think, Arundhati, you did mention that there are some people who are representing arts and social studies, which was really incredible, right? So people who are from those like background, I would say I'm glad to see that you're integrating with tech, because this is going to be a most powerful weapon in the next future. Like, so you guys have a double advantage, because, you're also understanding what tech can bring to you to the table, as well as, like, you have a better understanding of society overall, right? And same goes with engineering students over here, because you're getting to interact with people from a diverse background. So this will give you an additional advantage to go with the society all in all, right? So this is, think of it as a social experiment that you're going to do before getting into a larger world of, like, I would say startups or like corporate, whichever is your path of, like, which you want to pursue. This is a easier way to create a miniature experiment for you. So what is being done today, be it as a project or whatever is the format that you're doing, if you can make something out of it, even if it means the teams that you're working with today, it's literally giving you an opportunity to, like, enhance it to something more. Who knows, like, a product which is coming out of this hackathon, if it's becoming a unicorn at some point, I would be really glad. But yeah, I hope that happens, like, because that's the whole idea of creating hackathons, because the idea which you have, if you can make into a product and then it becomes viable to the customers, obviously there is scope for that. Like, and don't limit yourself because you're a woman or like a second year student. Like, these are just numbers which doesn't matter in the larger scheme of things. So yeah.
Because we were talking about opportunities, once I ask the next question, I'll be handing over the mic to the audience for 2 questions. So just prepare the questions. Meanwhile, I'll ask the next question, again, around opportunities. Practically, I do understand that a lot of colleges in Kerala have already tied up with universities or companies outside to crack open that opportunity bridge and make it easier for the students to reach out there. But on an individual point of view, beyond all the opportunities that are created by external entities, practically how can any of these students crack open a global opportunity or get in touch with people outside or utilize those opportunities?
So I think the idea is to have your identity go virtual. So the way I say that is because your physical presence should not matter when your virtual identity is created, right? So let's say you have LinkedIn, which is a global platform. You have a GitHub repository, which is again a global platform. So when you start contributing to projects, it can be open source projects, it can be different settings which are like, it can be a competition like Kaggle or any of these platforms which are present, right? Moment you are present in those global platforms, your identity is beginning to become more global. So the idea is to be present in as many global identity-based platforms as much as possible. And second part is, I have noticed that open source communities are the easiest way to get into anything you want to. Because, I mean, just to give you an example, my starting was Mozilla and Firefox. So that time it was cool things to do. But now Mozilla is not the hot community in the open source anymore, but there is more and more like, opportunities which are coming in. Like now there is Hugging Face, like, it is again a repository of, like, you should see the number of contributors which are operating on Hugging Face or any other communities, right? So look at any of the open source communities which are leading, make sure that you contribute a little bit to whichever of your interests. That is the easiest way to get attention. Second thing is make use of your social media. Like when I say social media, LinkedIn mostly. Other social media depending on like whatever works for you, because at the end of the day, that has literally made the global platform accessible to anybody. Like right now, if you look at most of the tech influencers per se, they all have a very humble background, and then the way that they have catapulted themselves is purely because of social media. So the power of community, power of social media, all this virtual identity, like harvest them at the earliest possible, because a lot of times as women, we like to shy away from things. Like, and even I have that problem because I mean, everybody has a little bit of imposter syndrome, because you will start questioning yourself 100 times as opposed to your male counterpart, right? So there was a joke among my friends, like, when you are planning to go ahead and do something, I want to have the confidence of a white man, like, So, and it works because, because they have delusional confidence, and then I wish I have that confidence, but it works. So always think of it like, when you're doubting yourself, just look into the mirror and say that, I am this delusional white man, and then go ahead and do whatever you want to do. It can literally open up doors for you. And I think maybe that's the beginning of it, right? Because a lot of times, even questioning, like, can I do it? Don't ask that. Like, just do it. It's what I would say. Because more you're trying to question yourself, can I do it? Like, I think as women, we ask ourselves a lot of permissions. Like, we ask ourselves permission to do things. We ask others permission, like for what joy, I don't know. But all these questions, a lot of social conditioning make us do this, the kind of stuff, right? So I think if you can put in some effort in reconditioning yourself out of these social norms, I think probably that's the easiest thing to reframe your mind. And I also believe in the power of neuroplasticity a lot. Like, if you can train your mind to do that, anything is possible. And I think that's more important. And I feel like a lot of you who are here, who are students, you guys are literally at the right age group in which you can make more things happen. So I think it's incredible. I don't think anything should be stopping you unless there is something specific, but I would love to understand.
Yes, we'll take 2 questions. Can we have volunteers help out with the mic? Okay, cool. Any questions?
First of all, incredible panel and much insightful conversations. My question is that earlier you've discussed about how AI can be used as an extension to our brain and how we can use our humanly abilities and the abilities of AI to take any projects to the next level. But even as we are speaking right now, the excessive use of AI is causing significant damage to our environment. And what do you think? Or do you think there's an actual coexistence possible? Or is there a way we can make it ethical, which is causing the baseline of our existence criteria itself?
Very good question. I was planning to come to that, but got carried away with a lot of conversation. But so there are 2 angles to it, right? One is AI as of today is not as predictable as we thought it to be, because as much as a lot of people are exploring AI, most of the researchers are also finding out what the repercussions are when they're doing it. So that is the biggest issue, because we are dealing with an unknown problem and issue at the same time. Secondary part is the root cause of all of this is humans. So the largest question of can I make the AI better? It's as equivalent as can I make humans better? So which becomes a philosophical question of how can I make the humanity do better? Like right now with the wars and situation which is going around, I do not have a tangible answer to that. But at the same time, I think it's more about creating, the change starts within us, right? So if we start looking at problems in a different way, can we be more responsible? It all starts from there. And secondary part is, of course, the leaders and companies which are responsible for it also has to be responsible in that way. There is a lot of movement which are happening to make AI responsible, but it's not enough, to be honest. If you look at it, most of the companies have responsible AI team, AI ethics team, you name it. A lot of these are very tokenized way of looking at it, right? So I think the bigger question is sometimes people sacrifice ethics for profit, which is a bigger problem, and I think I'm not personally okay with that, but how far of everyone, be it world leaders to the CEOs of the top companies which are present here today, I do not know if they are thinking at the same level as we think it should be, looking at. And secondary part is also the pollution which has been coming, because at the end of the day, making AI greener is not an easy task. So there is a lot of developments as well as research which has been done on making AI more greener, because data centers are a lot costlier as well as it produces a lot of carbon emissions which are happening. So in order to make it more viable as well as greener, researchers are still in very early stage. It's not fully greener as we think it should be. So there is a lot more to be done in that segment also. So these 2 are the biggest problem that I am seeing. Third thing is when it comes to current situations where you have seen Tesla or Waymo, when they have autonomous driving platforms, right? And they have resulted in human deaths at the end of the day, right? So these are immediate issues which are coming with AI, but at the same time, do we have a solution to it? It becomes a question of like, can humans be equally responsible for it? Or is it like an AI is doing better than a human, so I'm okay for an AI to do that, like, kind of same crime which has been committed by a human, right? So there are two different school of thoughts in the same panel. Like I've been looking a lot about like, what makes it forgivable, what makes it not forgivable, right? Because if a human is committing a crime, then can I forgive that human? As opposed to an AI is committing the same crime, can I forgive that AI or a human that created that AI? So a lot of these philosophical questions are yet to be answered. So I don't know if you guys read a lot about philosophy dilemmas. Like this is one of those. Like I keep having these dilemmas quite often, but I don't have an answer to it, to be honest. Like, and I hope we have more conversations which are happening in this era, especially for like, which is also the reason we want more humanities students also to be equally involved in AI creation, because these questions an engineer might not ask, to be honest. Like, because even for me, I studied engineering and then I did liberal studies. So until I'd studied liberal studies, I had no clue about a part of world which was like, in social studies and humanities and whatnot, right? So I'm not blaming myself for not knowing it, but I think part of me also feels that maybe I should have been adding more focus into understanding sociology and other parts of the world, like, because when you are very much, your brain is very much black and white coded, it's very hard to understand the gray areas of the world, which is what the basis of the whole world works on at the end of the day. So, which is why we need to find a balance between the both sides, and it's an ongoing process. Like right now, there is no rational, immediate solution to it, and I hope like the world gets better sooner or later with that.
We can take one more question. Anyone?
So my question is also about AI actually. So for hackathons, AI has done this good thing in which people are less intimidated to take part in hackathons. Even if they don't know how to code, they tend to take part in hackathons because of AI, because there are so many resources. So you can show what your idea is, even if you don't know how to code. But the other side of this issue is that we see the issue of single hackathon, several teams have the same idea because they all used AI to come up with their idea. And there's a big issue of so many, AI can't really come up with something new. It always derives from existing things. So nothing new really can come out of AI. So what is your view on using hackathons, AI in hackathons?
I think you can use AI to enhance your solution. That's how I would use it. But at the same time, like I want to actually pick up on something that you mentioned. Like AI doesn't create anything new as such, right? So, which is actually true because it learns from what's already existing and then they create a new patterns around it, right? Because it's usually when you feed similar data, based on the contextual understanding of what it has and the data that it's been trained on, it creates set of plausible solution, right? So there is always a way to know that if this is genuine enough, right? Which is why don't try to build a whole startup based on AI, which has been like, because right now I have seen that happening over and over in the Silicon Valley, where whenever there's a hackathon, everything is a copycat solution, and it's so easy. Like there is Lovable, like you name any of this, like applications which are there, can literally feed in the data, and then you can like easily start a website in like less than like 2 minutes. Like that's made it very easy and accessible, and of course it has democratized it. But when it comes to real companies and real tractions, then you still need a tech stack, you still need an engineer and someone who can actually build and take the solution to the market, right? So a lot of these questions come back to this idea of like, how to make it more viable to the market, because otherwise you're just building a copycat solution of like, let's say something like Airbnb with X niche, or let's say with LinkedIn, but for, I don't know, like, for students only, like whatever it is a niche that you're building on, right? So I think be more grounded on the reality of what the market wants at the end of the day, because hackathons, a lot of people think that, hey, how can I build a solution faster? but it's more about creating that unique solution which is immediately applicable. And if you can get 50 customers in your hackathon itself, that's a win. And I would rate highly for that, as opposed to a technically beautiful solution which doesn't have a ownership on the ground. Like, it doesn't make sense to me, right? So I think AI has to be balanced, again, only for enhancing your existing solutions. So which is also the reason, because I think I was talking to some of the folks here, they said lovable is not allowed, which is great, I think. And I think, like, enhance your solution with AI, but don't be fully dependent on AI to create the final product. Like, think on your own, brainstorm on your own, because that's something AI can't do it for you. Like, you can't delegate that to AI. Like, delegate the task to AI, which are like really repetitive and using your time, give that to AI, because even I do that. Like, whatever I think I can get more time, I would delegate that to AI, but not the other way around. Your primary thinking has to be your own. Otherwise, your brain cells will be of no use after, like, let's say 10 years, right? So what's the point of having neurons and not using it at the end of the day? Just like AI, we also have like neural pathways which are there. So utilize for the right things and then delegate to AI. That's how I would balance it.
Yeah, we'll have one more question because we are running short of time. For all these participants who have just completed probably their first project, so we do an M&E post which for around 80% of the participants, this is their first hackathon. And one thing we have observed, which I still don't know why, is they attend one TinkHerHack and then they wait for a whole year to attend the next TinkHerHack. So yeah, what according to you is the next step for all of them who are out there, who attended the hackathon, built their first project? What is the immediate next step?
40% of your first time hackathon. Just raise your hands if it's your first time hackathon. Wow, there's a lot of people. Nice. I don't know what project are you building, but if within your team, ask yourself, can I do something with it? So let's say if it, within your college, can you do something with that project is the first question you need to ask yourself. Second part is make sure that you're using your network really well, because hackathons, yes, there is a competition, there is an element of discovery as well as learning as well as execution, but also make sure that let's say all the 500 other participants. So before you leave this ground, you should say hi to everybody at least. That's my first request, because your network actually compounds and helps a lot. So being in touch with them, let's say in future, might be incredibly good for you, because you get to learn a lot from the people, peer group, which are like surrounded by you at the end of the day. Secondary part is, as a project, figure out if this is a solution which you can either pivot or maybe the current solution as it is might not be a viable solution, because usually for hackathon, you make an MVP, right? So that MVP might be suitable for market, might not be suitable for market. But if you think there is a commercially viable solution, please stay in touch with your teammate and do it, because I think that's something really incredible. At least for us, like a bunch of us started from hackathons and we started building our own products and companies later on. So it might not be the same team, but then the skills that you develop today is going to be incredibly useful tomorrow. So I think harvest on those also. So if you're leaving the project, then figure out how can you use the skill for something else. The other option is to always build your portfolio, because let's say tomorrow if you are going for a placement, if some of you are, or you are building your own company or building your own identity, like digital identity I was talking about, use these accomplishments as well as projects as an experience at the end of the day. And also, if you go back to your community, it can be school, college, whatever it is, why don't you create your own mini hackathon series there? Because I think you should give it back to the society, right? Like now, today you learned a lot, more people get to know this, the more better the community becomes. So I think it's always, I'm a person who believes in paying it forward. You might not give it to the same person back, but pay it forward to somebody else and that person might make use of it, right? So that's incredibly important. Yeah, these are some of the ways to kind of, amplify the effect.
Yeah, that's exactly one pillar of TinkHerHack, paying it forward. Yeah, before we conclude, if after 10 years we meet again, you're on the same hot seat and these are the whole set of people, or might be different and more, what impact would you foresee? Yeah.
I don't think I'm a fortune teller, but I'm hoping that everybody around here is doing something incredible. And I truly believe in that, because I have always met people from, like, they have started from where they are right now, and I've seen incredible changes in everyone. So I believe the same thing happens for all of you, and I truly believe that should happen. Like, that's what my hope is, but I'm no fortune teller, so I can't predict that. But yeah, everyone should do better. So I think there's always like room for improvement for everyone, and always remember that the competition is not sitting next to you. Like, because in hackathons and especially schools and colleges can be very competitive for unnecessary reasons. So always remember that it's not others you're competing with, it's always you. It's always you versus you. So make sure that you are improving yourself every day. Like, I think that results can compound incredibly. Like 10 years later, who knows what you guys will be doing. So I will be very happy to see, like, if some of you are doing something incredible. And I truly believe that all of you have like capabilities equally in that.
And yes, with that, we come to the end of this session. Give a huge round of applause to Nidhya Viraj. Thank you so much. Yeah.
Thank you, Nidhi and Arundhati, for that. I really enjoy the panel discussion, especially the part where you mentioned that when you build something, there needs to be a balance between creativity and technology as well. I invite Arundhati to present the token of appreciation to our speaker, Nidhi. Thank you once again. So one thing I noticed is ഇവിടെ മോസ്റ്റ്ലി എല്ലാവരും ഫസ്റ്റ് ടൈമാണ് ടിങ്കറാക്ക് ഹാക്കത്തോൺ അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യണത്. സോ ഫോർ എ ലോട്ട് ഓഫ് യു ഇറ്റ് വാസ് യുവർ ഫസ്റ്റ് പ്രോട്ടോടൈപ്പ് ഓർ യുവർ ഫസ്റ്റ് ഹാക്കത്തോൺ, യുവർ ഫസ്റ്റ് പ്രോജക്റ്റ്, യുവർ ഫസ്റ്റ് ലൈൻ ഓഫ് കോഡ്. സോ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് നാച്ചുറലി വരുന്ന ഒരു ക്വസ്റ്റൻ ആണ്, ഇനി ഞാൻ എന്താ ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്? സോ വാട്ട് കംസ് ആഫ്റ്റർ മൈ ഫസ്റ്റ് പ്രോജക്റ്റ്? ഡു ഐ ലുക്ക് അറ്റ് സ്റ്റാർട്ടപ്സ്? ഡു ഐ ലേൺ മോർ? ഡു ഐ ഡീപ്പൻ മൈ ടെക്നിക്കൽ സ്കിൽസ്? ഡു ഐ ഡു സംതിങ് ഫോർ സോഷ്യൽ ഇമ്പാക്റ്റ്? So our next panel answers all these questions. Our panel brings together builders who have taken different paths in technology, from research and development to product engineering and AI. Through their experiences, we hope this conversation will help you understand the possibilities ahead and how you can move from your first project to long-term impact. Please join me in welcoming our speakers, Sumiti Lalwani, software engineer, Ayrnanna Kurian, software engineer at Zerodha, contributing to one of India's most widely used financial technology platforms. Varsha Shaheen, R&D engineer at Lascade, working on innovative technology solutions. And Aksa Rose, an AI/ML developer working on various projects in AI. Moderating this conversation, we have Ashwati Tumaragudi, campus council member at TinkerHub Foundation and former TinkerHub campus lead at Vishwajyoti College of Engineering and Technology. Let's give them a big round of applause as they take the stage.
Good morning, everyone. So, can I get a hand raise on how many people got to know about TinkerHub through TinkerHack? Okay, so a good amount of people. So, just to give an overview of TinkerHub in general, it's a community that is all about fostering maker culture. But something that happens through events like hackathons is that we generally stop there. Like, we get excited through the hype of TinkerHack, we attend it, we have a lot of fun, but it ends there. So this whole session is kind of about, okay, so what's next? And we have 4 incredible people here to speak about that. Let me just introduce them quick. First, we have Aksa Rose. From facilitating workshops at TinkHerHub LBS to coordinating hackathons, then building front ends, and now deep in the world of LLMs, Aksa's journey is one of constantly leveling up. She knows what it takes to grow in tech one layer at a time. Next, we have Irene Anna Kurian. From learning initiatives intern at TinkerHub to product engineering, then IBM, and now Zerodha, Irene has crossed every kind of tech frontier there is. She's proof that curiosity, community, and consistency takes you far. Then we have Varsha Shaheen, a woman in tech fellow at TinkerHub at last, and now an R&D engineer at Lascade, all the while topping CUSAT along the way. Her journey is a masterclass in turning potential into achievement. And finally, we have Sumiti Lalwani. From Samsung India to Razorpay, Sumiti has built her career across some of the most demanding engineering environments in this industry. She brings with her the kind of experience that only comes from years of doing the real work. Please put your hands together and welcome all four of them to the stage. Yeah, so let's just get into it quick. So in the previous session, they gave a hand raise of how many people attended TinkHerHack as their first hackathon, and a lot of people said yes. So for them, this hackathon might be their beginning of their journey. So I'm curious to know, for each of you, how did you guys begin your journey? And more importantly, was there a moment where you felt like, yeah, I do belong in tech, this is a space for me?
Hello. So hello. I think I started all tech journey from my first year. Volunteering വെച്ചിട്ടതെല്ലാം സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളത്. But I think 2 years കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടും I still ടെക്കിൽ തന്നെയാണ് വോളണ്ടിയറിങ് നടക്കുന്നത്. പക്ഷേ 2 years കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടാണെന്ന് വെച്ചാലും I don't think I still belonged to tech എന്ന്. കാരണം most of the things we were doing was managerial. But latest ആയിട്ട് I built something, ഒരു project that got a lot of views. I think that was the moment I felt, that was a pivotal moment. That was the moment that I felt, I think I belong in tech. More than belong, I think I can do something. I can build something in the little feeling I got from that moment. Yeah.
Okay, so so this was in my first year. So I was learning around, like I was exploring tech, and I built tic-tac-toe in assembly language. So that was the first time. That was actually a simple game, you know, the tic-tac-toe, XOS. So that was the first language I learned. I wanted to explore what actually a computer is, and that was the first time I had this feeling of the happiness of building something and seeing an output, because that was one of my best outputs. Because before that, all I was doing was adding like very, very simple things, but learning the language, but learning computer architecture. And that was something where I was proud of. Yes, that is where I thought.
Hello. Sorry about before. Okay, so ഞാൻ എൻജിനീയറിങ് എടുത്തത് എനിക്ക് എടുക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ആഗ്രഹം കൊണ്ട് ഭയങ്കര ലൈക്ക് മറ്റു ഫോഴ്സ് ചെയ്തിട്ടൊന്നും ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നില്ല. ബട്ട് എൻ്റെ ഇഷ്ടം കൊണ്ട് തന്നെ ഐ സ്റ്റാർട്ടഡ് ലൈക്ക് ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ലേൺ, ഐ വാണ്ടഡ് ടു ഡു ബിടെക്. ദെൻ ബട്ട് ഐ ഡിഡ്ന്റ് നോ മച്ച് ലൈക്ക് about how to do, or ഭയങ്കര നൈവ് ആയിരുന്നു. And in my first year, I think the first thing that I built was a calculator. And I was like, oh wow, I can build a calculator. And that felt nice. So that's where it started. So like, yeah, calculator is something that you use, right, on a daily basis. And then I was like, oh, I can build it. So that made me feel nice. But I don't think I felt like I belonged for a very long time. It took me a lot of time to get adjusted. I think sometimes I still feel intimidated, like imposter syndrome and all those things were there. And I think my friends, like they were also, I had friends who were really into tech, so they helped. So yeah, working with them, then we built projects together, and all those things were more fun. So eventually I think I was like, okay, it's nice. Yeah.
So, audible? Actually, I come from like a long, more than a decade experience of still feeling like I don't belong. So probably the other end of the spectrum. But in recent times, what I've realized, I've actually been on the verge of giving up quite a few times. And very recently, I actually gave up in the sense I didn't focus on tech. I thought I'll just do something. I'll find a problem and I'll find a solution. And this is something that I've been told in the past as an advice, but I didn't know how to implement it. I just didn't internalize it. I was pushing too hard to belong to tech. And finally, when I decided not to do that anymore, now I just look at it as a problem. I still won't say I belong, and I don't feel it's necessary for you to feel that either, especially now with LLMs and AI agents writing the entire code for you and being able to explain to you very quickly things that took much longer to learn. Of course, deep learning still takes time and everyone should still do that. But the tech part of it or just the coding part of it has become a lot more commoditized. So focusing on the overall solution is what, like even in the previous panel, like they said, focusing on the experience of it, on the ethics of it is a lot more important, or at least equally important. So I still I wouldn't say I belong, but I finally become comfortable with not belonging. I don't feel that's necessary. If you care about a problem, you'll just go after the solution. Where tech is needed, you'll figure it out. Everything you can figure out. And if you really, really can't figure out something, there'll be people to help. So yeah, that's where I am right now.
Yeah, so just continuing from what you just said, I mean, the word intimidation was talked about a lot in this session and the previous session. Are there any practical tips that you can give these people regarding how to actually deal with it? Because oftentimes the hardest part about attending a hackathon is to just get into the door and just participating in it, or doing it without a teammate. So, like practically speaking, are there any tips that any of you can give the participants so that they can go home and actually work on it?
At least based on my experience, I would say already you're in a far better place. Like you've started off early. That itself is very good. In the previous panel, Nidhi mentioned, I think, you just have to fake the confidence. You have to tell yourself, I'll go in with this confidence because there will be more men. That's still the case, and that itself is intimidating. So unless you fake it, like you just have to. On day one, day two, you'll just have to. Eventually, it becomes a habit. But other than that, one thing which maybe it's not easy to internalize if I just tell you, but just keep it in the back of your mind, and with experience, you will internalize it. Every problem is fixable. Almost every problem is fixable. Almost every decision you make, no matter how big and life-changing it feels right now, is reversible, or its impact is reversible. You can recover money. Even if you feel you're wasting time, you're not, because that experience comes in handy later sometime. You're in the wrong career and you feel you'll shift totally to something new. You spend 2 years in the new field, you realize so many of the lessons or skills from the previous one did help here. So nothing is truly wasted, and it's all reversible. So once you take off the burden of how much impact this activity or this decision is going to make. So think about it. One hackathon is nothing. When you can change your whole career, what does a hackathon even like amount to, right? But if you weren't to change, if you weren't to give up, this hackathon would be the first step, which led to the second step, so positively it keeps adding. But negatively, it means nothing. You can always change the decision. So just take off that burden of like what this means or how much it's going to impact.
Varsha, would you want to chime in on that?
Yeah, so I think all that matters is taking the first step. That is, so when I see men and women in a crowd, or when they are coming for an interview, all that I see is that men is with a lot of confidence, even they don't know the tech. But women is actually very hard on themselves. Even I'm very hard on themselves. I never believe that I did something. So it is more about being pretty good on yourself, and yeah, maybe faking confidence, or walking into a room, and so if you're walking into an interview, making the other person feel that you know this thing, and taking the first step. Like I did freelancing when I was in college, and when I went to meet clients, So, I was a single developer and I went to meet them. One day, one client said to me that, I want this to be a very optimized website. I don't want to spend more money on it. Then my friend suddenly said that, okay, we'll do this in Next.js and we'll host this in Firebase. And I said, like, okay, my friend is not doing the work, okay? I am doing the work and I just took him with me. And I said, okay. But then when I came back to the room, then I realized that I don't know Next.js and I haven't yet used Firebase. So it is, and the client is actually someone who's having a very good business. So, but then with 1 week or with like a few days, I was able to learn it. Like the thing that we should understand in tech is that everything is logical. Like most of the things are man-made, hence everything is having a proof, everything is having a solution. And there is a lot of things you can try around without paying much. Like without a major cause or effect on you. Like you can try building a website, you can try building an application, you can try building an ML model, like everything is available. Like only thing that would restrict you as someone in tech would be the hardware. But with spaces like Thinkerspace, you're getting that too. So everything is available and it is easy to use. So all that matters, I guess, is to take the first step and in believing that you could try things and the things that people around you are doing is not rocket science. Like I have seen that one of my friend recently got very famous in Instagram with building a very simple solution. Like, so all the solutions that is built around me, with which people grow, when I see it, it would be a very simple solution that anybody could make. But the thing is that you should believe that you could make and you should have that dhairyam to move forward. Yeah, that is what I feel like.
I would like to add something. So, I am a person who doesn't like to accept that I'm not good at something. So, if I'm doing something, I want to be good at it. So, it is very difficult for me to start something new because when you're starting, you're obviously not good at it. So, I put off things just because I'm like, okay, if somebody asks me something about it and I'm a beginner and I won't be able to answer it, I don't want to be in that situation. But then you won't learn, right? So this still happens to me. I think at least some people would be like me and would relate that. So I thought I will tell this. So when that happens, it's like two voices in my head. One is saying, "Oh, you're not good at it. Don't do it. It's okay. Let it go. Like let it go." And there is another voice that would be like, "It's okay. It's okay. Everybody is a beginner. You get good by starting somewhere." So it's like because of sometimes I listen to the voice that tells me, "Okay, don't." But eventually, in my mind, because I want to try it out, I'll still keep thinking about it. Oh, but I still don't know it, but I don't want to start because I'm bad at it. So you listen to the other voice that says it's okay. It's okay to be, a beginner at whatever point of time it is. Yeah, I think so. It adds up to both of these. I think like faking confidence is one way of thinking, right? Like you don't know about it, but then you're like, yeah, I'll just show up. I'll just try. I'll give my best, and I'll see how it works. So yeah, I still feel I still have those voice when I'm starting something new, but it's important to listen to the other one. Only then you can improve, obviously.
About the intimidating point they were saying. So, usually I started all the tech things from volunteering. So, 3 years back, when I was in first year, ഞങ്ങൾ ഹാക്കത്തോൺ കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് ഞാൻ പഠിക്കുന്ന കോളേജസ് വിമൻസ് ഓൺലി. സോ നമ്മളവിടെ ഹാക്കത്തോൺസ് കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന, അതായത് ഇൻ്റർ കോളേജ് ഹാക്കത്തോൺസ് കണ്ടക്ട് ചെയ്യുന്ന സമയത്ത് വി യൂഷ്വലി ഒരു മെന്നിനെ എന്തായാലും വിളിക്കും, മെൻറ്ററിനെ എന്തായാലും വിളിക്കും. കാരണം എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ വുമൻ കാണ്ട് ഹാൻഡിൽ, ഇപ്പോൾ ഇറ്റ് ഈസ് ഇൻ്റർ കോളേജ്, സോ we are expecting men participants. So we call ഒരു men mentor so that men എന്തെങ്കിലും ടെക്നിക്കലായിട്ട് ചോദിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ നമുക്ക് വുമനെ പിടിച്ചു നിൽക്കാൻ പറ്റില്ല എന്നുള്ളൊരു കോൺസെപ്റ്റ് വെച്ചിട്ട്. പക്ഷേ വെൻ യു റിയലി സ്റ്റാർട്ട് ലേൺ സംതിങ്, ദർ ഇസ് ഐ തിങ്ക് ഒരു 1 year back വർഷ ഞാനും ഒരു ഇവൻ്റ് ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. സോ വൺ തിങ് ഷീ സെഡ് വാസ് ആക്ച്വലി ദ knowledge gap between how we are now and നമ്മൾ ഭയങ്കര കൂളാണെന്ന് തോന്നുന്ന കുറേ അധികം മെന്നുണ്ട്. ആ ഒരു നോളേജ് ഗ്യാപ്പ് എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്നതിനേക്കാളും ഇപ്പോൾ ഇഫ് യു തിങ്ക് ഐ എം കൂൾ ഓർ എനി ഓഫ് ദ പീപ്പിൾ സിറ്റിംഗ് ഹിയർ ഇസ് കൂൾ, നിങ്ങളും ഞങ്ങളും തമ്മിലുള്ള വ്യത്യാസം ഇസ് ഒരു ചെറിയൊരു നോളേജ് ഗ്യാപ്പ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു സ്റ്റെപ്പ് വി ടേക്ക്. സോ ഇഫ് യു കുഡ് ലേൺ ദാറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ടേക്ക് ദാറ്റ് സ്റ്റെപ്പ്, you will also be ഈ പറയുന്ന cool. And when you reach that point, you realize നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുന്ന അത്ര, അതായത് ദ കൂൾ പീപ്പിൾ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ വി തിങ്ക് മെൻ ഇൻ ജനറൽ ആർ എ ലോട്ട് നോളേജബിൾ ഇൻ ടെക് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ മോർ കൂൾ ഇൻ ടെക് എന്ന് നമ്മൾ വിചാരിക്കുമ്പോൾ വെൻ യു റീച്ച് ദാറ്റ് സ്റ്റെപ്പ് യു റിയലൈസ് ഇറ്റ്സ് മോർ അങ്ങനെയല്ല എന്നുള്ളത്. So I want you guys to take that first step, learn our knowledge gap എന്ന് പറയുന്നത് reduce ചെയ്യുക and take that step. Yeah.
Yeah, so you talked about taking the next step, and that most times when we see certain people and we see that these people are too cool, like we can never do what they're doing, and that intimidation gets changed when you get to know them. But another thing is, to get to know them, you have to be in spaces where it feels safe enough to just go up to them and talk to them. And Irene, we talked about this earlier, the impact that community has on us getting opportunities and things like that. Because unless you're part of a good community that creates safe spaces, we can never actually have those conversations with these people and then later on realize that, oh, they are also just humans who started learning one day. So, Irene, specifically, I'd love to know the importance that you think community has on people growing in their tech journey.
Okay. So, like I said before, when I joined, I didn't know much. So, everything, whatever I learned is through the people who have influenced or who I've spoken to after I met in college. So, and all these people, like from mentors, ഞാൻ ജസ്റ്റ് there was one event for which this person was there. He was the speaker. I liked what he talked, and I don't really go and talk to people. And I'm really introverted in that sense. But then I really liked whatever this guy was talking about. This was in my first year, and I wanted to talk to him, but I did not because I was scared. Then later COVID happened and it was more comfortable for me on phone. So we texted and then I shared my, whatever is my goal. Okay, I want to learn this. How do I do this? Because I heard him speak at that, like I wouldn't say you guys should do this. That was bad from my side. I waited for like 2 months for this to happen. But I talked to him, and then I think that was the first pivoting point in me getting into tech. So he was my first mentor, and then every other opportunity that has come across was because of this. Like whatever I learned, like all the basics, fundamental things that I had doubt to, because so when I talked to him, it was easier. Like I felt like, okay, I can ask my questions. We don't feel comfortable with everybody, right? So I think you just know when you talk, some people won't work out, some people, like, you'll know, okay, this person is my vibe, and I can ask them questions, and if you're comfortable enough, then you can talk, you can start interacting, and they won't mind. So he was my college senior, and that's how my journey started. And so I think it's very important, if you feel like you should connect to somebody who can bring in values or help you with something or learning or getting in opportunities, you should talk to them without hesitating. So yeah, I think that was the first thing. So I'm like, yeah, so this is how you network. This is the advantage of networking. Then next time you find somebody similar who is aligning with your views, or you're like, okay, this guy or this girl is doing something that even I want to do, then you go and connect with them again. So I think from there, from my first internship projects that I've done to I think all the other opportunities that I've gotten till my current job was through community. So it is very important that you network. Not network, when you go to events like these, you'll meet somebody like who is of your same wavelength. So yeah, go connect with them.
I think it was Nidhi in the last session who said she kind of wished that everyone who is here says hi to the every other person. So yeah, really hope all of you do that, because if you don't say hi, there's no way that you'll figure out whether this person is my vibe or not.
So you guys, everybody had mentors, right? Maybe you might have connected with somebody from your college itself. So you can keep in touch with them. They might be your college seniors who will be able to help you with your next project. Like you have this idea, you want to do something about it, you ask them. Like don't hesitate to ask questions. And if it's great if it's somebody from your college, right? You can just walk up to them and ask. Doesn't matter who, but yeah.
Yeah, so talking about projects, given that we're here in the celebration of a hackathon, I mean, Varsha already mentioned about the first project she made, the calculator one. The tic-tac-toe one? Yeah. But yeah, just curious regarding interesting projects that you made, which wasn't because like someone assigned it to you, it wasn't like part of an internship, it wasn't part of a job or a mini project. You just built it because you wanted to figure out tech or something like that. I mean, I know about Aksas, but I would love for the audience to know about Manslater in specific.
Hello. So, Manslater, anyone heard? Anyone heard? I think. Okay, there is less people. It's actually a bangara symbol app that translates what women says to what they actually means. So so the tech we used behind it is fine tuning. So whenever I learn something, I build a project. I deploy and I put out. Either Instagram, my Instagram, LinkedIn. So I never thought, I always build something and I put that out. I deploy it, I put that out. I think most of the people, നിങ്ങൾ ബിൽഡ് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ള പ്രോജക്റ്റ് ലിങ്ക്ഡിൽ ഇട്ട ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? ഐ മീൻ ഒരു പോസ്റ്റ് ആയിട്ട് ഇട്ടിട്ടുള്ള ആരെങ്കിലും ഉണ്ടോ? ബട്ട് ദാറ്റ് സ്റ്റിൽ ഓക്കെ, ദർ ആർ പീപ്പിൾ. ബട്ട് ഐ തിങ്ക് ദാറ്റ് ആ സംഭവം നടന്നതാണെങ്കിൽ കൂടി ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ബിക്കോസ് യു അറ്റൻഡഡ് എ ഹാക്കത്തോൺ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞിട്ടായിരിക്കും. ബട്ട് ഐ വോണ്ട് യു ഗൈസ് ടു whatever you guys build, just put things out, let people know that you are doing something. അപ്പോൾ പുറത്തുനിന്ന് ഒരാൾ നോക്കുമ്പോൾ I always say that rather than അതായത് മോസ്റ്റ് ഓഫ് ദ പീപ്പിൾ പറയാറുള്ള എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഇറ്റ്സ് എ വെരി സിമ്പിൾ പ്രോജക്റ്റ്, അപ്പോൾ വൈ ഷുഡ് ഐ പുട്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഔട്ട്? അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ പറയാം, റാദർ ദാൻ നിങ്ങൾ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല എന്നുള്ള തോട്ടിനേക്കാളും വേറൊരാൾ നിങ്ങളെ പ്രൊഫൈലെടുത്ത് നോക്കുമ്പോൾ ഒന്നും ചെയ്യുന്നില്ല എന്നുള്ള സംഭവത്തിനേക്കാളും ഇഫ് യു ഹാവ് പുട്ട് ഒരു സിമ്പിൾ കാൽക്കുലേറ്റർ ആപ്പാണെന്ന് വെച്ചാലും ഓക്കെ, യു ആർ ലേണിംഗ് സംതിങ് എന്നുള്ളൊരു ഇംപ്രഷൻ ദാറ്റ് ക്രിയേറ്റ്സ്. സോ അങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ ഇട്ടൊരു സംഭവമായിരുന്നു. ആൻഡ് it got around 3,000 unique users, 8,000 page users. I got an internship with that. I met a lot of people. I think it was a pivotal moment for me. So I never thought a simple project like that can, I would say it changed my life. I would say it changed how I see the confidence thing. I don't think a lot of people said, we should think to ourselves, we should have the confidence. I should have the confidence. I believe I belong here എന്നൊക്കെ നമ്മൾ പറയും. പക്ഷേ റിയാലിറ്റി ഈസ് നമുക്ക് അങ്ങനെ കോൺഫിഡൻസ് ഡസൻ കം ലൈക്ക് ദാറ്റ്. യു ഹാവ് ടു പുട്ട് തിങ്സ് ഔട്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഓരോ മൊമെൻറ്റ്സ് ആണ്, ഇങ്ങനെയുള്ള സ്മോൾ അച്ചീവ്മെൻറ്റ്സ് യു ഹാവ്, അവിടെ നിന്നാണ് റിയലൈസേഷൻസ് ഉണ്ടായിട്ട് കോൺഫിഡൻസ് വരുന്നത്, അങ്ങനത്തെ തോട്ട്സ് ഒക്കെ വരുന്നത്. സോ I would say put things out more. Whatever you guys build, put things out. You never know what will happen. Yeah.
So, projects which I actually did for my leisure was only when I was in first year while I was doing something with assembly language. But after that, I built for something because I did freelancing after that, and I wanted to do research. So with my projects, I actually wanted to get it published as research papers. And it is actually a very, very good thing you could do while you are in college. One thing is that people don't expect you to do research when you are in BTech. So there are a lot of opportunities. And one interesting thing is that if you are having a paper and if you are going to attend a conference, college will sponsor you, or else at least Korean will sponsor you. So yeah, so I had conferences which that did. So while you are building something, if so, actually publishing paper is bit easier than you think. Like usually we have the thought that this is a very hard thing to do, but you can actually find a professor in your college which can help you with, who is doing PhD or have done PhD and are actively publishing. And then with that person's help, you could actually take a topic like this. I wanted to share this with everyone because I wanted every one of you to go into it, try it out. So again, it is not a very big thing, it is very simple. So if you are ready to do a bit of work, you could do it. So there are actually different sectors in which you can write a paper. One thing is that you could completely discover or find a new thing, you can make a new thing as such, or else you could compare the existing things also. So if there is a new tech that has came on, a new paper which has came on, you can actually compare it with the old tech. You can find any new findings that which this is advanced on, and you can also do experiments. Like in computer science, you could do projects where you can actually publish papers on the results of an experiment. Like you could take a topic, like one of my paper was actually based on how do, like you all know Nvidia's autonomous vehicles, right? So how do an autonomous vehicle's camera, it is actually having AI. So does the detection truly affect on the focus of the camera? Or is there any other parameters? Or after a particular focus, does the clarity or the quality of camera matters in the model's detection? So that was a purely experimental thing. So this is something you could try out while you are in college, and you can actually go for a conference, you can get a PPT, you can present it in a conference. So the most important part of this is, even if it is not published, it will be at least, if it is good, it will be at least published in the conference's proceedings. So that is also actually a journal in which you can actually view your paper. It will be publicly available. So it is very nice. And the other projects around was all freelancing works, because while in college I was very happy to earn money because I wanted to do a lot of things. I wanted to travel a lot. So I was this girl who haven't traveled to any places other than school and Lulu Mall when I was in college, because Lulu Mall is very close to my school and my home. So I wanted to do a lot of things. So there were interesting projects. There were making AI avatars. There were actual websites, apps, but all those things was actually freelancing. And this is also one thing that which I have learned is, you don't want to know everything to start doing projects. Like you can learn on the way. That is the beauty of computer science, which I have felt a lot, and that is what made computer science interesting to me. Yeah.
Yeah, Aksa kind of touched upon this, that instead of just building it and stopping there, it's incredibly important to put out your projects. Just building upon that, just other than just the projects, how do we make sure that we are seen in this tech world in general? Because a lot of times people who do really cool stuff are kind of introverted in many ways. They kind of need someone else to kind of push them. So even if it's through the help of other people or on your own, how can, let's say, I as a person make sure that I am seen in this tech world, that people know that I do exist, that I can get the job done?
Is it on? Yeah. So there are two types of projects, right? Right now we spoke about fun projects, hobby projects.